Can someone teach me how to do the shmoney dance? I don't really know how to do that. Or dance, period. If you can, bang my line. I need dance lessons. Got weddings coming up. I need to learn how to do that. Anyways, welcome back to another episode of the College Football Show presented by The Regular Usual. I'm your host, Jordan Nash. Welcome you back to Week 8. And sad to say, we've got about a month and a half left, and it's over. Bowl games start, and our teams are going to lose and let us down, especially if you're a Miami fan. That's kind of what happens. It's just announced today that Malik Reed is going to be the starting quarterback, not this weekend, but the following week when they take on Boston College. So if you're a Miami fan, listen to this. I feel your pain. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. Mark Richt isn't returning my phone calls, so I just have to deal with it for now. But back to the real important things. People want to know what's going on in the world of college football. Well, I can tell you what's going on, especially in my world. I went 1-5 last week. 1-5. That is shit. That is beyond shit. That's some Jared Cox, I'm a dumpster trash can type shit. You can't be that. That Jeremy Jimmy doesn't even go that bad. You know? It's a real struggle to go through each of these picks, especially after last week's episode. I thought was a pretty good success. It actually did really well in numbers. I can tell from some of the feedback I got. People like the shorter, condensed episodes. I actually liked it more too. I didn't have to go over games that really weren't that enticing, and they were all ranked matchups, even though I did lose 5 of them. But I'm kind of going to be continuing that format going forward. Pick just kind of the best games, whether it's 5, 6, maybe I can luck up and get 8 every now and then, and go through those. Not games that just I find entertaining, but anyways, going back to those, I thought the week was going to start off right. I'm trying to know, like, superstitiously, did I do something different? Is it because I rushed last week? Is it because I had Vegas on my mind and I was already a little bit checked out? I'm not sure, but 1-5 is so unacceptable, and I apologize if you follow my picks, but shouts to you if you faded them and went the other way. The only one we got on last weekend was Tennessee plus 15 at Auburn. They won outright, 30-24. Everything else is a wash. The teams I picked, basically, every team I picked except for UCF lost. UCF, I took them at -4 against Memphis. They barely scooped out a win, 31-30. Every other team I picked, you should have bet against it, because not only did they not cover, they also lost the game directly. Thankfully, on the shoe money side of things, where you take the little side bets I like to do each weekend, there's only 3. Appalachian State hit last Tuesday night or Monday night, whenever it was I recorded the podcast, and so did FIU. Both those hit. Georgia Southern finally fell from the ranks of the teams that are unbeaten against the spread. However, 4 teams left, and one of those teams is still Utah State and Appalachian State. So if you're looking to get into sports gambling at all, or throwing a little money on the line, those are 2 teams I would pick. And where would you put that money? Take that $20-30 you're planning on risking out this weekend. Head over to bovada.lv, click the link in the show notes. They will match your deposit bonus of 100% up to $250. So if you throw in 30, you'll get an extra 30 to gamble with and kind of prolong your season the way I've done for the past 4 years. If you want to know which other teams you can bet on besides Utah State or Appalachian State, you've got FIU and you've got Washington State. That's it. There's only 4 teams undefeated against the spread. So pick any one of those. I actually have one of them I want to touch on this week. And roll the dice, player. Don't be scared. It's just money. You'll make more, right? You have time. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I don't feel like betting, then don't fucking listen. Okay? Just listen to it because you like me and because I'm your boy. And you follow me on Instagram, or you follow me on Twitter, or you're watching the show on YouTube. If you're doing that, shouts to you. Share it. I have a Hooters calendar waiting for you. It's been in the backseat of my car for over 2 weeks. Anyways, we did lose some money. No one cares about the money anymore, so I'm not going to talk about it. But you do care about the records and how I do my picks. Again, 1-5 brings you to 35-31 on the season. Still above 500, but just barely. We're going to go ahead and jump right into this week's games. Starting off, actually, we're not. Take that back. I'm going to have a sip of this beer. You're welcome, Jeremy. And go through some of the biggest takeaways from this past weekend. Again, I didn't get to watch many games being out in Vegas. I was out gambling and jumping up and down and exploring the city and allegedly partaking in No, that wasn't a nose itch for coke. I promise you, I wasn't. I didn't do any coke. You can drug test me for that. But just allegedly partook in some of the things that Vegas has to offer, including alcohol and unlimited. You know what? We're pretending you didn't hear that last second. Anyways, I was out there doing a bachelor party, had a blast. It was a great time. Only Saturday, got to watch some of the games at the sports book at Caesar's Palace, which was awesome. But however, I didn't know this. Out in Vegas, if you want to sit in a sports book and place bets all day, you can if you want to stand at the back bar before you I can see all the TVs up across the wall. However, if you want to go actually into the sports book and sit in one of the nice chairs, it's $100. $100 to even sit down. However, they do say it includes 3, in quotations, complimentary drinks. If you want to sit in one of the VIP sections where it's like an actual leather recliner, those are $200, but you do get unlimited drinks on that. And the way drinks are priced in Vegas, you would still need to have about 15 drinks throughout the course of the day, which is 100% feasible, but you're going to be fucking pissing the wind. Like, you're going to be in rough shape drinking 15 drinks. I don't care who you are. And no one wants to drink just beer all day. I was drinking Negronis, Campari, gin, what is it? Sweet vermouth. That's what I was drinking most of the weekend. And vodka out of the room. But if you drink 15 vodkas in a day, you might die. So don't do that. But if you go out to Vegas and want to hit in the sports book, do like I did. I'm going to post my little bet slip up, probably the main image on this week's podcast. I actually placed a legitimate bet. Was it a lot? Of course not. And thank God it wasn't, because I lost. If you want to see that, again, head over to the show notes page and you will see my little 3-team parlay bet I made and ended up losing. Biggest takeaways from this weekend, though, in games. Number 1, Miami's offense is trash, and if they ever want to maybe contend for the ACC, either Mark Richt has to go as the offensive coordinator, or they need to hire Kendall Briles away from Houston and have him be your offensive coordinator. Something. You need some sort of infusion of talent there, some sort of change, an innovator, not running the same plays that Mark Richt's been running for 30 years since he was a GA at Florida State. Need some sort of change there. UCF is vulnerable, but still unbeaten. And also, fuck you, Luke Del Rio. You don't really know what you're talking about. I get it, you played quarterback, but there's a reason that some of your counterparts who are quarterbacks are now ESPN analysts, and you have a YouTube show, and I have a YouTube show, and you had a lot more clout in college than I do. So, where are you at? If you want to look into any of that at all, into what I'm talking about, Luke Del Rio trashing, I'm sure some minor sports blogs picked it up. I don't think ESPN did. Check out UCF Problems on Twitter, and you will see the big thing, who I actually interviewed, who runs the account back in my 3rd or 4th episode ever. You will see exactly what Luke Del Rio said, and the bombarding of just comments dragging him through the mud from UCF fans on him for doing that. I don't want to get into it now, but UCF is vulnerable. There's going to be a lot of big games coming up for them here in the near future, especially against Cincinnati, and again the day after Black Friday against USF at the War on I-4, which your boy's going to be attending. Is LSU elite? They beat Miami. They beat Georgia, but who else? I don't even fucking remember who they lose to. They lost to Florida. So, is Florida elite? No. Florida's not elite. I don't care who you are. Dirty Joe, Willie B. Florida's not elite. Y'all know that. Y'all know the real what's going on there. I'm sure Pat, you know the same thing as well. Good team. Very, very interesting to see what's going to happen in a couple weeks with them. We have Florida, Georgia, and Kentucky all as one-loss teams, and they're all going to be playing each other starting in November. So whoever comes on top of that will likely be playing Alabama or LSU for this SEC championship game. So keep an eye on that one. And finally, Oregon, low-key dark horse to make the college football playoff. You look at them, you look at Stanford and Washington. They're all one-loss teams. I mean, Washington, Stanford, and Oregon, all one loss. USC, one loss. Colorado, one loss team. And Washington State, 6 teams, one loss in the conference. But over the next 2 weeks, a lot of that's going to shake itself out, especially when you have Washington State and Oregon going head-to-head this weekend, and that's one of the games we're going to break down. Oregon's sitting number 12. If they can win this weekend, their schedule sets up pretty nicely for them to maybe sneak in as a... It doesn't look likely that the Pac-12 is going to have a representative for the college football playoff, but they would probably, if I was a betting man, and I am, I would put it on them to make it. Mario Cristobal's done a great job there. Jim Leavitt is their defensive coordinator, has Oregon's defense playing at a very high level, even given the injuries he's come across. Other than that, Texas, low-key number 7. Texas might be back, baby. I'm trying to do a B with my hand if you're watching the YouTube. I think this is D, this is B. I don't know, it's opposite, so you know what I'm saying. Is Texas actually back? Texas has looked damn good recently, especially over their upset win last weekend over Oklahoma. They're going to have a interesting game again when they play Iowa State this year. When they play, I think they also play Texas Tech here to see if their defense will be able to shut down. I think they actually played it doesn't matter. That's really not important. Texas Tech is not one of those teams, so I could look. Yeah, that was my cat that just walked around back there. Texas might be one of those teams who's sitting number 7. If the top shakes up enough, you could see Texas-Oklahoma Red River rivalry rematch for the Big 12 championship, and that would be outstanding. But keep an eye on West Virginia. Even though they did lose this past weekend, they're still a team that can pull off an upset here or there. If they win out, maybe they jump back up into the top 10, top 8. And I don't even, when do college football playoff rankings come out? Week after this week, or is it week 9 when they start kind of putting those out? And all these games really start to matter. People pay more attention to it. I'm unsure. It's something I should know. I don't. Anywho, let's get into this week's slate of games. I was going to touch on some head coaching stuff for people who are doing well, but I kind of already did. First up at noon Eastern Time, you're going to have number 6 Michigan taking on number 24 Michigan State. The Wolverines are a 7-point road favorite, which isn't unsurprising. Michigan State, of course, coming off the upset of number 8 at the time, Penn State, last weekend. With Michigan, of course, looking damn good against Wisconsin, winning 38-13. Wisconsin, though, one of those teams that's probably overrated. Just their preseason ranking kind of letting that carry them from last year's success. Same as Miami's was. Just coincidence they played each other last year in the bowl game. But Michigan against Michigan State. We know Michigan's defense is for real. We also know that Mark D'Antonio is 8-3 against Michigan since being the head coach there. However, I wasn't sure on this game. I haven't actually watched either of these teams play a full game, so I resorted to some of my northern friends and said, hey, what's your feedback on this game? The brothers Soko both think Michigan covers with no problem. 7 points is no big deal then. Jeremy, who is a horrible sports bettor, also thinks that Michigan wins by 10 plus. I, on the other hand, can see that happening, but those guys don't know dick about football. I'm surprised they know what channel ESPN is on, and for that reason alone, I'm taking Michigan State. No, I'm being honest, but in all actuality, this has been a close game. Historically, Michigan State has the edge. Harbaugh hasn't won against Michigan State yet. Ben Lewerke, Michigan State's offense needs work. Michigan's offense is finally starting to roll, so it's a very tough one there. But Michigan State's home field advantage, I think, it plays into this one here. Was it last year before last, that blocked punt that Michigan State returned in the last minute of the game really turned the tide? So I can see Michigan State doing the same thing this year, keeping it close to the end, but I'm going to ride with Michigan State plus 7. You give me a touchdown at home. I know they're going to be riding high off that very emotional win last week on the road at Penn State. But these guys could come in hot this week, which probably won't happen. Low scoring game. The over-under is at 40. If either of these teams break 20, consider me shocked. I'll be watching this one. I recommend you do the same. But don't drink Sierra Nevada's IPA package because they will fill you up and you'll be shithouse like I kind of feel right now with myself a little bit. On 2 beers, I'm already a little bit drunk, so we're going to go Michigan State and +7 at home against the Wolverines. Next up, another top 25 showdown. You have number 16 North Carolina State taking on number 3 Clemson. Both these teams are undefeated and in the ACC Atlantic. Clemson's going to be in this game as a 17.5 point favorite. Clemson is currently experiencing a little bit of quarterback issues. Trevor Lawrence, of course, getting hurt, a week before last against Syracuse, and they had to have their third string come in. I think actually 10th year senior, whatever he is. He seemed like he's been there forever. Hunter Renfrow actually came in and threw a pass during the game. If I'm not mistaken, this is Clemson's homecoming game this weekend, so expect the fans to be rowdy. Expect it to be a packed house, especially against a top 25 opponent. But this is a team that Clemson has owned for the past, I think I saw a stat earlier where North Carolina State hasn't beaten Clemson since 2006. So 12 years they've had their ass handed to them. This year, NC State hasn't really beaten anybody of major noise. Clemson, of course, their signature win is against Texas A&M, regardless of how controversial it was. But you're getting 17.5 points on the road. That's a tough one against a team with Dave Doeren, who was a great coach at Northern Illinois. He's kind of translated that success after not getting the University of Tennessee coaching job last year. Turn that into a contract extension this year and a higher pay raise for NC State. The team's playing good. They have a great quarterback in Ryan Finley. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Isn't going to wow you on paper. They don't have the defensive talent they had last year with Brad Chubb and some of those other guys. 3 scores is a lot. This could be a game where Dabo Swinney turns it on a little bit, and I want to pull for Clemson to win this game handedly. However, Clemson wins, NC State covers because Clemson really hasn't blown decent opponents out. Texas A&M by 2 points, Syracuse by 3. We look at Georgia Tech and Wake Forest. They won by, they beat Wake Forest last weekend by 60 points. So, kind of happens. They also coming off a bye, so there's a lot going in there. They definitely prepared for it. However, I'm rolling dice with another underdog and taking NC State and the points by getting to 18, even better. Next up, we're heading over to the SEC again. We have Mississippi State at number 22, Mississippi State, taking on number 5 LSU. LSU is going to be a 6-point home favorite in this game. I don't know if game day is going to be there, but a 7 o'clock kickoff in the SEC, you never know. Mississippi State, of course, coming off a fantastic win over Auburn last week, and who is another overrated team this season. LSU, of course, knocking off Georgia this past weekend. Mississippi State is coming to this game off of a bye, so they've had time to prepare and time to kind of figure out a way to slow it, regardless of how lack thereof spectacular he is, find a way to slow down Joe Burrow. But the big thing I think with LSU you need to stop is the running back, Nick Brossette. He's just been getting yards week after week. I mean, 7 games into the season, he's almost at 700 yards, so it's all but one game he's broken 100-yard rushing in. I mean, LSU is definitely a second half team, or a first half team. If you can catch them after halftime, there's a chance to sneak up on them and pull a W. They haven't really had any close contacts. Florida jumped out on them early, and they never could recover. Georgia, they jumped out ahead and just kept the foot on Georgia's throat, and the defense, LSU's defense is for real. Mississippi State's yet to be seen. They're a team that's just now back in the top 25 after the win last week. They can score if you have a meh defense, a good defense. I don't think they score a lot. 6 points at home. Sorry, I got to take LSU. As much as I'm on Team Chaos on this one, give me LSU in the 6 points. This should be a ruckus atmosphere. I expect LSU to win and potentially win big in another blowout. There's a slight chance, I'd give it under 20% that Mississippi State pulls the upset out, but look for LSU to at least cover in this one. Now, we're going to head back out to the Pac-12, or first time visit out the Pac-12, in a game I mentioned earlier. We have number 12 Oregon taking on number 25 Washington State. Washington State, again, one of those teams, undefeated against the spread, 3-point favorites against the number 12 team in the country at home. This will be a game where I mean, I'm sure he has, but you'll see. Oh my God, I can't think of his name right now. I'm trying to think of Washington State's head coach. I can see his stupid face. Pause for a moment. Enjoy yourself. You're probably yelling at me. Mike Leach. Thank you. Mike Leach's the head coach in this one. Washington State's home field advantage again against Oregon and their potential Heisman candidate and Justin Hubert. Oh wow, I didn't even know he left the league. Gardner Minshew is Washington State's quarterback who has already thrown for 2,400 yards this season and 19 touchdowns. Is Washington State low-key good and none of us been paying attention to them? Let's see. Only lost this season against USC by 3, and that was on the road. Oregon, on the other hand, of course, the upset loss against Stanford, but then wins over back-to-back top 25 teams in California and Cal, and against Washington in overtime. So Oregon didn't put 10s away. I'm 100% pulling for Oregon in this one, but I don't bet against the spread when it's one of these teams that's just done me well so year long, all season long. This would be one of those, I wouldn't say a program-defining win for this one, but this one definitely puts Oregon and Mario Cristobal in the driver's seat in the Pac-12 North. They're going to want to win this one and win it in fashion for the style points, of course, which I'm pretty sure the rankings come out next week, but Washington State's coming off a bye, being at home. Oregon, I love you. I got to go with the stats. Give me Washington State -3. Moving out of the top 20, moving from number 25 into maybe the top 20 with a win over this one. Oregon stays in the top 25 with a loss, depending on how ugly it is. Next up, we have Oklahoma at number 9 taking on TCU. I was hesitant to add this game in, mainly because TCU started the season ranked in the top 25 and is now 3-3 and unranked, losing 3 of their last 4 games. Their only win against a surging Iowa State team. Oklahoma's going to be 8-point road favorites in this one, coming off again off the loss to Texas 2 weeks ago. Eight points on the road. Now that I'm actually looking at it, thinking about it, the over-under is at 62. Oklahoma, of course, fired their defensive coordinator, Mike Stoops, last week after the loss to Texas. So it'll be, I don't even know who stepped into the interim role in that job, probably a linebacker coach or something like that. TCU, love Gary Patterson, his innovative stuff he does on offense. Of course, his 4-2-5 defense is definitely built to stop the spread attack that a lot of these teams like Oklahoma run. Defensively, TCU is the better team, although they have played a little bit weaker competition, with the best team they've played being Ohio State. Ohio State wants them to win, and I hate Ohio State. So for that reason alone, Oklahoma wins this game, unfortunately. But actually, Oklahoma's going to come out with a fucking vengeance in this one. Oklahoma 8-point favorites. Give me the Sooners in this one. TCU, I would love for them to pull another upset, but I don't see Oklahoma going losses back to back. This game will be. I expect Oklahoma to jump out early. Kyler Murray to really. Wow, he's the team's leading rusher too. Do you know that? Quarterback, leading rusher. He's 21 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Offensive machine, dude. So yeah. And here's the ESPN headline. Number 9, Oklahoma and TCU face for a potential Big 12 elimination game. So let's see. In this one here. Yeah, lose this one and you're out. Texas sits at the top of the heap there in the Big 12. Oklahoma needs everything they can to fight and to scratch and claw their way back in. Give me Oklahoma -8. They win handily. And finally, the last game we're going to touch on this week will be Colorado, who's now recently unranked, as 16-point underdogs on the road against number 15 Washington. As we mentioned, Washington lost a close one last week to Oregon off a field goal in overtime, and then to Auburn early in the year. Colorado, when they were ranked last week, did lose to USC 30-21, and that was their only loss of the season. A win here against Washington puts them back in the top 25, also puts them in contention for the Pac-12 as well. So this is another borderline elimination game. 16 points I 100% expect Colorado to cover this one. Like, without a doubt, Colorado plus 16 all day. Washington wins the game, especially if Myles Gaskin is able to come back and play after being injured the past week and a half or so. Colorado did look good last week against USC. Just USC's defense overwhelmed them. They really couldn't get the offense going. Stevie Montez is definitely a talent. Jake Browning on the other side of the field with Washington this week is one of those guys who I thought would be the next... what the hell is that kid's name who went to Notre Dame a couple years? Jimmy Clausen. I don't know, he kind of reminds me of him, but a little more accomplished, if that makes any sense. Washington wins this game, but they don't cover. 16 points is a lot. I know Chris Peterson is probably looking for revenge, but I don't think Washington has the talent to do that. So give me the Buffs, Buffs, plus 16 in this one. And for a quick recap for you, Tyler, since you want to be listening and placing your own bet this weekend, we're taking Michigan State plus 7, NC State plus 18, LSU minus 6, Washington State minus 3, Oklahoma minus 8, and Colorado plus 16. Be sure to look out for this week's, I really don't have anything else. I'm being honest. I'm just kind of talking now because that seems like the right thing to do. Short week, still trying to catch back up from being out 2 days last week from work. Get back into a regular habit while still trying to hang out with my girlfriend before she leaves this weekend. Got a lot of things going on. Thank you to all of you who do tune in each and every week. I truly appreciate it. Again, if you want to call in anytime, text in, you can. Number is 813-859-8083. Whatever. It'll be posted somewhere. Bang my line. Hit me up. Let me know where I'm wrong. Give me some feedback. Give me some critiques. And be sure to tune in next week for week 9. And we'll kind of go over the latest college football playoff rankings and potentially talk Heisman. Until then, thank you again for listening, and I will see you next Wednesday. Take care.